Mitzie Hunter is the Ontario Minister of Education and represents Scarborough-Guildwood in the Ontario Legislature. She is the immediate past Associate Minister of Finance. As the former CEO of the Greater Toronto Civic Action Alliance, Hunter worked to solve some of the toughest social, economic, and environmental challenges affecting the Greater Toronto Area. She has also served as Chief Administrative Officer, CAO, of the Toronto Community Housing Corporation, Vice President with Goodwill Industries, and Regional Director at Bell Canada. She grew up in Scarborough, graduated from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Arts degree, and recently completed her MBA from the Rotman School of Management.
I was born in Jamaica and I came to Canada in 1975. I remember holding my grandmother's hand as we stepped off the plane and feeling the cold air as I came to this country for the first time. But my parents felt that this would be the place to raise a family, that we would have a better life, and you know, they made the right choice. I had a great happy childhood, growing up in the suburbs, east of Toronto, and eventually we settled in Scarborough, where I went to high school, and eventually went to university. There's definitely self-awareness, you know, when you're growing up in a society that you don't see too many people who look like you, especially in positions of authority. And I think that that's what's different and that's what's changing now. So, you know, one of the things that I'm really aware of as the MPP for Scarborough-Guildwood, I have a very diverse community, and when I'm out and about in the community, you know, I know that young boys and girls can really look up to me and see that, you know, if she can do it, I can too. So I really believe that having those role models that are more reflective of our society is very important for young people. They need to see themselves being able to aspire to be anything that they want to be. As Minister of Education, and you look into the eyes of our children and our young people, you see hope, possibility, and the future. And that's what I believe that we have to believe in. We have to support our young people to realize their potential. And that's the work.
AFROGLOBAL Television is a global super channel that transforms the destiny of people of African descent through programming that informs, empowers, entertains, and uplifts. The mission of AFROGLOBAL is to showcase the best of Africa and the diaspora. Watch AFROGLOBAL Television on Rogers Cable, Bell 5, TELUS, and Eastlink.
It is my pleasure to present the 2016 Martin Luther King Jr. Legacy Award to a phenomenal woman, the Honourable Mitzie Hunter, Ontario's Minister of Education.
I'm tremendously honored to receive this recognition this evening. Dr. King was a man with strong beliefs in the power of humanity and in human rights. And he was a man who dreamed about the potential of a brighter tomorrow and worked hard to realize that dream in all that he inspired and everyone he served. Dr. King's letter, written in a Birmingham prison, spoke of how laws could be changed, but it was about the application of those laws through an equity lens that was so important. What I will say is I meet a lot of people every day that could never imagine themselves on this stage. I look into the eyes of Black boys and Black girls across this city and province and in our own communities, and I know that they don't always realize the beauty and the potential that exists in each and every one of them. We all need to have the awareness that our #1 responsibility in life is to help every child succeed and to become their best selves. Indeed, they need to know that the sky is no limit.
I've been really blessed. So I've had an opportunity to work in many sectors. I've worked in the private sector. I've also worked in the public sector as at Toronto Community Housing, and also in the nonprofit sector where I was the CEO of Civic Action. While I was at Civic Action, I had an opportunity to work on transformational initiatives, so transit, and how do we make those investments, the environment, how do we ensure that our region has a sustainable environment, and jobs in the economy, specifically young people, how do we create opportunities for young people and make sure that they achieve their full potential. So for me, I've always worked in fields that I'm passionate about and where I could make a difference. I ran for Students' Council when I was in high school, and eventually I became the president of my Students' Council. I went on to university and I was involved in the Students' Administrative Council, on the Cultural Committee. In fact, when I was at University of Toronto Scarborough campus, I started a program called Mosaic, which was bringing all of the cultures together that were able to demonstrate their cultures on stage through food, through music, and it was something that, in fact, myself and the students involved, we made it permanent so that the Students' Council would put on this showcase each and every year to bring the cultural communities together in a very diverse campus. And I think that those very early opportunities allowed me to know that I had a voice, that I could make a difference, and the opportunity to run for public office felt to me like an opportunity to serve. It was a call to serve, and I very much answered that call when I ran in 2013. Definitely a lot of work to run, and as a candidate in a campaign, you know that you rely on your team and you rely on that connection that you have to the voter. And it's up to you to tell your story. So, you know, for me, coming into this role, I really relied on that team. I had a fantastic team that supported me. But my responsibility as a candidate was to knock on doors and to meet voters and to tell them about Mitzie Hunter and to tell them why I was the best candidate to represent them. I had a strong passion for the community. I had grown up in Scarborough. I lived, learned there, studying at the university, and I really wanted to make a difference in the community. I knew that I would be representing a very diverse community, and I felt that I could bring those concerns to the legislature, to Queen's Park. So when I ran, I said, you know, I want to be the strong voice for Scarborough-Guildwood. I want to represent this community, and it's a wonderful experience putting yourself forward as a candidate. I want to see more people of diverse backgrounds, people with passion and experience putting themselves forward as candidates, and it's a very rewarding opportunity. I was also very humble knowing that I was first voted in on August the 1st, 2013, and that's Emancipation Day. So that was a very meaningful experience for me to win the election, to stand beside our Premier, the Honourable Kathleen Wynne, and to speak and to say thank you to the community, thank you to the volunteers, and to step forward to represent the people of Scarborough-Guildwood. The opportunity to work with Premier Wynne was one of my motivations for getting into public office. I had worked with the Premier when I was at Goodwill, had a store in her riding. She would often come and visit. When I was at Civic Action, I would also work with her when she was Minister of Education. So this was a real opportunity to work with a strong female leader, and I really felt that she would be someone that I could learn from. The fact that she appointed me as a member of her cabinet after the general election in 2014 when we won a majority, I was of course just very, very elated, and knew that I could do this role. I would not let her down, and I really appreciate the confidence that she had in me. By making me the Associate Minister of Finance responsible for the Ontario Retirement Pension Plan, this was no small task. Setting up a pension plan for the people of Ontario is an enormous undertaking. The plan will have 4 million plus members. Over 450,000 companies would be part of the plan, and collecting annual contributions of $6 billion. So it will quickly become one of North America's largest pension plans. Has asked me to be the minister responsible for multiculturalism, and that's a tremendous honor. We live in one of the most diverse provinces in our country, and the opportunity to engage and to connect with the communities right across this province is really incredible. And as a government, we're committed to connecting with those communities. The Premier has also announced the establishment of the Anti-Racism Directorate, which will be led by Minister Michael Coteau, and really ensuring that we ensure that people have a sense of equity and fairness in our province, and to tackle some of those things that are still challenging for us as a society, whether it's racism or exclusion of any form of any group. So we want to make sure that that we give voice to that, and do the required research and the programming to ensure that everyone has a fair opportunity. For my role in terms of multiculturalism, it's to ensure that we connect as a government to the breadth of communities that are out there that need to engage with the government in our programming. When we look at, for instance, post-secondary education, and we just recently announced that post-secondary education will be free for households that earn $50,000 or less. That is extraordinary. When you think of the opportunities that students can have to pursue a college or a university education, we want all communities to know about that. And just really taking that message forward, I will be able to do that along with my colleague.
Matthews da Costa was the first recorded black man to arrive in this land that would become known as Canada. The first. This was in 1604. 1604. He spoke many languages. He spoke French, Dutch, in Portuguese, African, and the indigenous languages of this land. And he was a translator and an interpreter who helped to bridge the gap between the early French explorers like Samuel de Champlain and Canada's indigenous people. So he was our first diplomat.
My dad had his own business, and my mom would go to work each and every day. So that value of hard work is something that I learned at a very early age. My parents also focused on education and acquiring that knowledge. So, you know, I did my undergraduate studies, and then I went back and did my MBA at Rotman School. And so combining experience with education has been very good for me. It's allowed me to have many opportunities in my life, and I always say that education is the key. In my writing as Scarborough-Guildwood, I focus on literacy because I believe that young people need those tools in order to succeed, and they will get that from education, hard work. I also believe that we need to volunteer and serve the community. So I've served on well over 100 boards or committees, task forces. I make it a part of my life, and to really step up and to not just identify a problem, but to figure out what you can do to address and to solve that problem and be at the table. And that's something that I strongly believe in, and I think you can start that at any age. So I always encourage young people to volunteer. I also believe in setting goals. That's something that I've done really since I was a teenager. I continue to do that, just to have something that you're striving for, something that you want to achieve in life that pulls you forward. My outlook on life is positive. I always see the glass as half full, and I bring that optimistic view to my work and to my teams. In life, we face challenges, but as Nelson Mandela says, that really the only time you fail is when you don't try. And so I believe that you have to get up each and every time you fall. You get back up and you try again. Whether it's in school and you fail an exam, you can retake that test. You can redo the year if you have to. A friend of mine in high school, she did that, and she eventually became a teacher. So it's really important that young people really see that life is not just about obstacles. Obstacles, sometimes they build the strength and the capacity in you to overcome and to really take those lessons into your next opportunity. And I've learned that, if I'm struggling with something or I have some obstacle, I always ask myself the question, what is this trying to teach me? What do I need to learn so that I can learn it and move on? So I always, really see that as a way of viewing things so that they don't, keep you down. It's really important that you can see yourself as someone who is resilient and that can really overcome any challenge, and you have the opportunity, you have the intellect, you have the talent to do that.
In Ontario, diversity is our strength, and the vibrant fabric of our province continues to grow and to flourish. Ontario's tremendous cultural diversity is what gives our province its strength and its vitality, and also ensures our collective success.
I love music of all kinds. I often go to the theater. I love live theater. I like seeing things on stage, and really admire people who put themselves out in that form in terms of the arts. Actually, I like arts in all its forms. I also like to just read and just take those quiet moments as well, just to collect yourself and regain balance.
I know that, like many members of the Black community, I was so proud. In fact, I was in the seat at the legislature when I heard that the woman that was selected to represent women and the Black community was Viola Desmond on the $10 bill. So exciting. And it was exciting because Viola's courage and leadership to fight racism, discrimination, and segregation is part of our Canadian history. And to have her on the $10 note is powerful.
What inspires me, you know, the opportunity to make a difference, to create change, to transform. I think that there's so much in this world that needs to be supported. Many people need to be lifted up. So, you know, if I can make that difference in the work that I do, that keeps me motivated each and every day. The opportunity to make a difference really keeps me motivated, but also grounded, knowing that sometimes these tasks are bigger than any one person, but you can, you know, put your best efforts to make that difference. My advice to young people out there is to set their goals. It's important that they see themselves 20, 10, 5 years from now. Where are they going to be? What are they going to be doing? And once they get a sense of the direction that they want for their lives, then they should think about, what can I do right now to work towards that? What is the one change that I can make that will move me closer to my goal? I also, you know, strongly believe in education and ensuring that people have the tools that they need to achieve that future that they desire from themselves. And I think a lot of that comes through education and those types of opportunities. I remember a mentor of mine, actually, the Honorable Jean Augustine, someone who I look up to, and I was visiting her many years ago in her office. She probably doesn't even remember this. And you know, I was there on behalf of Goodwill. I was talking about the organization. But when I was finished, she asked me about, you know, what I wanted to do, and I you know, told her some general thoughts. But I remember she said, make sure that you equip yourself so that when you get the call, you are ready. And I took that as, you know, I should go back to school and get my master's, so that if I ever got the call, I would be ready. And so, you know, I give that same advice to young people, is to invest in themselves, really study and work hard for the goals that you want to achieve in your life. And don't let anyone stop you. Share your dreams with those who support you. Get mentors, coaches, champions, and people who can sponsor you and aid you in achieving those goals. Leadership is about doing. I believe that leaders should be people of action who lead by doing. Integrity should never be compromised. Integrity is something that you hold personally, and it should never be compromised. Hard work is the only way you get things done, and rolling up your sleeves and getting in there is very important. So hard work is how you get things done. Faith is what carries you. You know, it's your faith will never leave you, and faith is something that is core to your being. Education, it opens doors. It's what will level the playing field. It's the great equalizer.
MLK